Jamie will have to convince me that I am not crazy, or maybe that I am crazy about where the New York Jets are right now. The Mets might miss the postseason, and Jaxson Dart's going to stay on the bench for just a little bit longer. Welcome in another edition of the NY Sports Index. That is Jaime Eisner. I am Chris Schubert, here to talk all things New York sports. Got a bunch of football on the docket
Yep.
today. I had a chance to watch the All-22 of the Jets. It has me feeling some type of way about things. Jaxson Dart officially staying as the backup. Russell Wilson will be the starter for week 2. And we have to talk about the New York baseball teams because one of them might not make the postseason. Jamie, how are you, my friend?
Oh, so yeah, your emotions as a fan right now all over the place because I feel like you're probably too pessimistic on the Mets, too optimistic on the Jets, and we'll kind of see where this all goes out. I went hatless today, by the way. Um, we obviously we already recapped on our last show the games, but now we've had a couple days to sit on this for a little bit, and I kind of want to avoid talking about baseball for a little bit because both of us are kind of a little sad about it. But we've kind of sat on this for a couple days, and since we last recorded, Jaxson Dart not starting. Russell Wilson was named the starter. We have an interesting little bet that is available. We'll talk about here shortly. The Jets are, I actually kind of, I want to start with this. I'm going to call a timeout right now. And it's a timeout that's going to lead right into this because actually, we spent a lot of time on this on Sunday night when we recorded for Monday's show. And I want to talk, and we haven't talked. As you may know, there's been a lot of things that have happened in the world of sports and in the world. So we haven't had a lot of time to talk about this. So I want to kind of check back in. We spent a lot of time talking about the Jets fan reaction to
Yeah.
week 1. Before we get into looking forward, before we get into what you saw, you've had a couple sleeps since then. Where do you stand right now? Succinct version of how you feel about the Jets' week 1 performance.
I am more confident than I was on Sunday when talking about the way the offense played. I find myself in a spot where it does feel more repeatable to me what they were able to accomplish on Sunday. And I have a variety of reasons that I'm sure we'll unpack here as to why I feel that way. But I legitimately feel a lot better about where this team is. Now, let's see how Sunday goes against the Buffalo Bills, and the result of that game may dictate how quickly I turn from that opinion. But I don't know how a Jets fan couldn't feel a growing confidence the more you hear about the way the team is conducting themselves, what the All-22 showed. There's just an overall excitement that I think is definitely warranted here so far.
Yeah, I still kind of feel the same about them where, I still have some long-term concerns, about whether or not that defense can get back to where it needs to be. I should say long-term concerns, long-term questions, because it's like I see the names on the paper and I know what I expect from them. Can they pull it up again? But from the offensive perspective, as we talked about, like that was it was one of the best results they could possibly have, but that was within the realm of possibility that we discussed. So I know you put in the show notes that, am I crazy for thinking they could beat the Bills?
Now, I believe I said, am I stupid for thinking that they could beat the Bills?
I was trying to be nice. So I will preface this by saying two things. One, it is the NFL, and the teams are a lot closer to each other than they would be, let's say, in like college sports. So sure, it is possible, but I do kind of think you're a little stupid for that. This Bills offense, if you thought you had trouble stopping old man Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, you got the MVP on the other side. You've got a full complement of receivers that I think are really emerging. Keon Coleman really had a good showing out to start year 2, and I'm really a big fan of his. Khalil Shakir showed that he was healthy, ready to go. Josh Palmer's a piece of that offense. You still got Cook and Davis in the backfield, Kincaid at tight end. You got a lot more weapons to face against the Buffalo Bills. Now, you could take the other side of it is that there are some more exploitable areas of the Buffalo Bills defense. They don't have a TJ Watt. They don't have a Jalen Ramsey. They're pretty weak right now, particularly at the safety position. But I don't see it because I think you would have to basically put up the exact same offensive performance and then hope your defense can just hold on. This is a really, really tough matchup. I know it's a division game. things can get weird, but I just can't look at these two teams right now and not say the Bills are clearly the better roster, both on paper and what we saw in week 1.
I hear you. And by the way, I don't want it to go unnoticed that you called a timeout on yourself in the open of the show. I don't think that's been done ever to then make the same point that we were going to make anyway.
Yes.
Very poor usage of your timeouts there. If we were making predictions right now, and we aren't, we'll make them on Friday, I would not pick the Jets to win the football game. But I think before the year, I looked at this game and I just assumed it was going to go the way that most of the Jets-Bills games have gone over the years. And with the way that the actual game played out on Sunday, with the way that the Baltimore rushing attack was able to carve up the Bills defensively, and with the confidence that I feel in this offense after being able to do an all-22 deep dive and see some cut-ups of some plays that the Jets were able to make offensively, it doesn't feel outlandish to say the Jets can hang in this game more than I originally thought they could. And I think that's kind of where my landing spot is. Would I be...
Do they cover?
What's the line?
6.5.
They could cover.
Okay.
I think I
just want to kind of get a gauge of like what is hanging. Is hanging we're within 14 points in the fourth quarter, or is hanging like there's a chance that this is a 1-score game? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like what is hanging?
Because maybe they don't cover, but could I see a world where midway through the fourth quarter this is still a 1-possession game? I think I can see that reality. I do. I think I can see that world where the Jets offense can do enough and the defense plays better, because that's the other thing too, Jamie, is that I think the defense will play better than the way they played against Pittsburgh. I certainly expect a better overall performance.
So the question is going to be, how much does that even out? Because I do expect them to play better, because they are better than what they showed in week 1, but they're also facing a much better offense than they saw in week 1. So how much of that, like if you were put like a bar this way, a bar that way, like it might even out.
It might. Then that's fair, because you certainly would expect that the MVP of the league and all of the options that he has offensively certainly dwarf the challenge that Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers offense presented to you.
Yeah, because then you go on the road next week to Tampa, another strong offense, before you get the Monday night game against Miami,
which at first felt like it was going to be more of a challenge than I think it's ultimately going to end up being.
I don't know. That team's bad, man.
I'm actually looking forward to that game now.
Yeah. Even though they did the same thing where you can do 2 Monday night games, but they do them right on top of each other, like with an hour apart.
Wait, that's one of those we're not going to have an actual divide between the games?
No. So that one is week 4, and that is, I believe, week 4. Yeah. And that is the Jets Dolphins are at 7:15 Eastern, and then Bengals Broncos are at 8:15 Eastern.
What are we doing?
Why we do that? I don't know.
Because we've got a doubleheader
like this week.
Day.
It's 6 and but it's
right.
Not my time. Sorry, 7 and 10, which makes sense. Although Godspeed to those of you on the East Coast that want to watch Chargers Raiders at 10 o'clock kickoff. But I won't get onto the rant about NFL scheduling and how
I was literally giving you the space. I laid out.
No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Okay.
Also, for those of you that are watching on the show, I'm trying to make sure that there's not like a live booger that comes out of my nostril here. So if you are watching it, I don't have like a cocaine problem, and that's why I'm touching my nose or anything like that. I don't make the kind of money I would need to make to have a cocaine problem. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Okay.
But if you happen to see that, by the way, another just glorious reason to watch us on YouTube or on Spotify. If you want to watch us instead of just listening to the podcast, you can see me try to fight an active booger from being on my face.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk and you can mute and like get a napkin or something. Like I can buy you some time.
Well, because one of the things, it's like it's not to the visible part yet.
Oh, it's
one of
those.
Small enough, but I can kind of feel it.
Yeah, those are the worst.
So like I'm trying to like preemptively, but I'm also realizing that like all I'm doing is touching my nose a lot on camera, and obviously we all know what that means.
And then you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's just in your head now at that point.
So like now if I bring attention to it, it's okay. If I try to pretend it didn't happen, then it would feel awkward.
Now,
what I'm trying to do here.
I applaud your effort of getting out in front of the story. Yeah,
yes.
Before the YouTube comments get after you.
Before the YouTube comments talk about my cocaine addiction, yeah.
Do we want to talk Justin Fields, or do we want to talk about the news the Jets made today by making an accountability decision?
We'll talk about the accountability decision second, because I want you to talk about Justin Fields, and I want to hear what you thought. You've said on the show a couple times now you got a chance to watch the All-22 of the Jets, and it made you feel a little bit better. obviously you can't watch that Jets offense in week 1 and not be impressed with Justin Fields. But let me know what your thoughts are now that you got to, obviously you had a couple days to process it, now got to rewatch it for a second time from the full field angle.
It's just one word that I keep coming back to describe the way the Jets offense looked and felt when watching it again. Confident.
Yeah.
It just felt like an offense that knew what it was trying to do, knew what it couldn't do, knew what it could do, and executed the things it could do really well. And an extension of that is, boy, did that seem like the most confident I've seen Justin Fields under center for a team. Like, it just seemed like he knew when a play was called in, and if it was a passing play, he knew exactly what was demanded of him, and it didn't seem like the pre-snap look or even what happened post-snap phased him. Now, was he perfect? No, he missed some throws, and he certainly could have been better at times. Oh, by the way, for those who still think he should have ran on the final play of the game, would have absolutely been swallowed.
Oh yeah, there were
right at the marker. Not a chance.
There were 3 guys there.
Not a chance he gets it. And if he does,
it's a tough play for Garrett Wilson to make with the corner bearing down on him like that. But he does not. I thought in real time, I saw on the replay in real time, and obviously, Chris, you confirmed that all 22. He was not going to run and make that first down.
No, and Garrett, obviously, Wilson, Ramsey makes a great play on the ball, but Garrett is wide open. Like, it is the right decision to
it's
try
the right
to get.
Decision.
Yes,
it's tough in that it's a great play. Sometimes
it's a great play.
You know what? Sometimes the other team makes a great play.
They hit a 60-yard field goal.
Necessarily, you did something wrong.
Right. So confident is the word I keep coming back to. And I wrote in my notes, but this is just something that, like, and this is coming from me, Jamie can vouch for the way that I felt about Zach Wilson coming out of that draft. This is better than anything Zach ever did. Now, maybe Zach had a better stat line in a game, and maybe at the end he had more fantasy points and got you more DFS points if you played daily fantasy and you played Zach Wilson. I don't know why you would have done that.
Probably not, considering Justin Fields is rushing in this game. Those 6-point rushing touchdowns help you a lot.
It just felt like somebody who understood what the offense is supposed to do and was able to keep it in rhythm, on schedule, and execute it perfectly.
Yeah, I watched the All-22 as well in the Jets because we talked about Fields a lot, and I wanted to confirm what I saw when the game was happening, and I did. To your point about confidence, not only did he look confident in terms of knowing what he needed to do with the offense, he looked confident personally. He had a lot of plays, and I watched a lot of Justin Fields. There were plays, and we mentioned it on Sunday's show, where I was 99% sure he was going to run, but he kept his eyes up the field and made a passing play. And I know that might not seem like the biggest, and I know a couple times it worked for a first down, sometimes it didn't work. It might not seem like the biggest thing, but for a quarterback that really was so often a first read and take off early in his career, this was a level of confidence and a level of, I don't want to say mastery, but a level of calmness within a new offense that I would have not seen from Justin Fields. Didn't see it in Pittsburgh, did not see it in Chicago. And to come out week 1 and display that level of confidence and comfortability in this offense was really exciting to see. And the fact that he was willing to make plays down the field as chaos was happening, when plays broke down, it didn't just instantly go to his legs as his quote unquote out. I really enjoyed that.
It didn't feel, I know it felt it for me when watching it back, that when he was escaping pressure or leaving the pocket to go on a run, it just felt like it was composed. It didn't feel like it was a panic move. It felt like this is the right decision in the moment to scale the pocket, to elevate, to move out, keep my eyes upfield. Like, it felt like he was making those decisions. It wasn't like he was lucking into being in the right spot with a receiver open. It felt like his processing took him to the right decision because he knew where to be. And again, I think it all goes back to a point that I said all summer long before we started the pod, but I shared it on one of the first pods we did before the season started. This is the best coaching staff he's had around him. So I'm not surprised that the early returns show a more confident Justin Fields, because you feel like the infrastructure around him is putting him in positions to succeed. And so I love the way he threw the ball. I love the way he ran the ball. I love the confidence, but I also just love that when he went to what we would all say is his bread and butter, his ability to extend plays, escape the pocket, and keep things moving, it didn't seem like it was scatterbrain. It was, I don't know what to do, so I know I can do this well. I'm just going to run around and make a play. It felt like it was with a purpose. It was designed because he understood, if I escape this rush here, I know this guy's going to be open and I can hit Mason Taylor for a big play, or I can hit Tyler Johnson for a big play, right? And so it just felt like he was in control, composed, and confident. And it made me really encouraged, because you watched it and nothing felt like it was, oh, he got lucky, or, oh, that play broke the Jets' way. It felt like,
Yes.
we know what we're doing. We're executing this correctly.
I will put a bow in this conversation by saying it this way. It didn't seem fluky.
Yep.
It seemed like this is now, I don't know if there's much higher upside than what we saw. I think that's probably about as good as you're going to get most weeks out of this offense. However, I don't think it's unrepeatable. And so I guess the question's going to be, how close to that can they continue to get going forward, and how consistent can they be at playing at or near this level?
One more thing on the Jets side before we talk about the Jaxson Dart, Russell Wilson saga that keeps on brewing. The Jets made a move today. They cut Xavier Gibson. He's no longer going to be the guy returning kicks and punts for them there on special teams. And this is a move that I think a lot of Jets fans are appreciative of. Not that they want to see Xavier Gibson lose a job, but they like seeing the accountability being administered from this new regime of, listen, if you're not playing up to the Jet standard, I know that has not been a thing for a while, but Aaron Glenn is trying to put in a Jet standard, that if you're not living up to this Jet standard, then you are going to be held accountable. And I find accountability to be a real funny thing, especially in sports, because there are certain levels of accountability. And in the case of Xavier Gibson, he really is just a special teams player as it is. So there's an ease in which you can hold a player like Xavier Gibson accountable for the mistake that he made, whereas Quincy Williams is a more talented player, a more important player to the fabric of what the Jets want to do, to where I don't know how much accountability there's going to be on him for his penalty. So accountability is a weird way to look at this, but if you want to be the new sheriff in town, if you want to instill a new culture, a new standard, the word that I used, of the way you want to handle things, then you have to kind of make an example out of an Xavier Gibson, so that the Quincy Williams and everybody else that you're not going to cut, you're not going to move on from those guys, understand that, hey, we've all got to be better here. So it's always weird for me to use the term accountability, because you're not going to administer accountability.
It's a sliding scale.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, it always is. It is in life, and it is in sports. And for example, obviously the big topic coming off of Sunday night was the Ravens' loss. Nobody's advocating to bench Derrick Henry for his fumble. If that was Justice Hill, we're having a different conversation. I know he was inactive for the game, but if that was Keaton Mitchell, if that was Rasheen Ali,
Mark Andrews made a drop in the postseason. We're not calling for him to be traded in the offseason.
So it's some were, but different reasons there. That was more of a Isaiah Likely love. Obviously, he's been hurt, but like that's what it comes to. Same thing. CeeDee Lamb Thursday night. That's Kevontae Turpin. That's Jalen Tolbert. Luke Schoonmaker. Different conversation, but it was CeeDee Lamb. So it's always going to be a sliding scale for this. So who's going to return for the Jets now? Is it in Iguanu or what?
So he's banged up.
I know that's why he got replaced.
He would be the guy if he was healthy. Now if it's hard to look at what they did in game and see that it's what they would do under ideal circumstances. But Arian Smith is the person who came in and replaced Xavier Gibson in the middle of the game. They did sit Gibson down.
He does have the skill set to do it. So
he is a player on roster. They also did make a move today as we're recording this pod. They added, I'm trying to make sure I get it correctly, Isaiah Williams. They claimed him off of the practice squad in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think he gets the first crack.
So
seems like you don't make that move if you're not going to play him.
He was in Detroit with Glenn, and so there is some comfort level probably with that. So my guess is it will be Isaiah Williams if Nwangu can't go on Sunday. It would be that I think Isaiah Williams gets the first crack, but at least they feel, and maybe it was out of necessity, but they did feel comfortable putting Arian Smith back there when they needed to in the fourth quarter of that game. So that would be my assumption, is how that will play out on Sunday. Want to talk about Jaxson Dart?
Yeah, we're talking about an interesting piece, a different angle from it. And I get, as those of you that follow me know, I'm heavily into the sports betting stuff, as is Chris. But I tweet out a bunch of odds and things of that nature. So I get sent a lot of these things. So something caught my eye on Wednesday morning when I got sent this, and it was betting odds on when will Jaxson Dart start, which say that 3 times fast. On or before week 4 is the heavy favorite right now at minus 180. Week 5 or after is plus 140. Now, if you remember, the on or before week 4 is that infamous Chargers game that we talked about and we kind of circled when we did the playoff prediction. It does seem that he's not starting on Sunday against the Cowboys. I guess it's possible he could start on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs at home.
I'm going to use one. I'm going to use one because this one's on me. I have to take responsibility for this. Is that a Sunday night game or a Monday night game? I think I screwed this up when we first originally talked about it.
I think it's Sunday night. Google's telling me it's Sunday night. Let me look in my...
No, it's on NBC. It's Sunday night. For whatever reason, let me just... I'll peel behind the curtain.
Did you say Monday night? I didn't correct you?
I said Sunday night. Okay. But I then heard... And I'm not going to throw them under the bus because I like what they do. But I was listening to some local sports talk radio, and they referred to it as a Monday night game. And in my car, I'm like, did I mess this up?
No.
So it's a Sunday night game.
Yeah, the Monday night game that week, by the way, is Lions-Ravens. So that's going to be fun. And it's a standalone Monday night game. So
it's not a football palooza.
It is the meat of a double header Monday night bread sandwich. That makes sense to you. There's double header on both sides of it. I'm so great at describing things, Chris. I mean, I could see it in your mind of how just like it just clicked when I brought it up in that context.
I didn't love it.
But okay, so long story short, the betting odds say by or before week 4. I don't think he's starting against the Chiefs, so that Chargers game is looking more and more likely. I don't have any additional analysis I want to bring to the table other than what we've talked about ad nauseum over the last handful of shows, but it does appear, again, you got to be careful with, betting odds are not gospel, but it does appear that the Jaxson Dart era is going to be upon us very soon, and it's starting to look like that week 4 game that we soft circled while we did the playoff predictor is going to be that spot.
The key word doing all of the heavy lifting in that bet is start. Yeah. Because I think we see Jaxson Dart before week 4, but I think he starts week 4. That's the key word that's doing all the heavy lifting. And because I outlined this to you, I think it was on Sunday's pod, in the immediate, aftermath of watching all of the games. I think I said to you that I could see a world where if the offense continues to play poorly, and then in the first half against Kansas City, it continues to play poorly. You go into halftime on Sunday Night Football, the entire world paying attention to you. You're going to have no choice. You can't keep trotting out Russell Wilson if he's going to throw 20 incompletions. Went 17 of 37. They couldn't move the ball offensively. You can't continue to trot that out. And it's also the first home game of the year. So there's a world where the team is 0-2. It's the first chance for this fan base to voice their displeasure. And if you play a poor half, boy, are the Boo Birds going to be out in full force.
Oh, they're going to be ready. They're going to be ready.
I want to ask you this question. Are you okay with them sticking with Russ for this week? Are you fine with that decision?
Yeah. I mean, look, the reality is Russ is a mercenary for this year. He's here to serve a purpose. He is being paid to start and keep the seat warm for whenever the team feels Jaxson Dart is ready to start. And there's no other way to look at this. There was no other way to look at this when once the Jaxson Dart pick was made. There's no other way to look at this in the preseason. There's no other way to look at this now. So there is an element of, and again, like this current status of Daboll and Shane do complicate matters a little bit relative to what the conventional thinking would be, which would be you're not really probably winning anything this year. This year's all about just finding and then getting that young quarterback ready. You don't need to rush him in early. Daboll's job is not going to be any more saved or on fire if he starts this week or he starts in week 4. So I don't have an issue with them waiting. And I would have to imagine, not in that building, but I would have to imagine behind closed doors, there is a date that they have circled as well. Of this is where we feel like he will be ready. And I feel like that date they moved up over the last month or so, particularly with the way they've talked about him, the way that they moved him up, to your point, Chris, number 2 on the depth chart. I think that the date that they circled a few months ago has been moved up, but I also feel like they don't feel like they need to move it up right away. And the decision to start Russell Wilson week 1 was a decision that he would at least get 2 or 3 starts, in my opinion.
I am rather confused by those who think that if they chose to bench Russ, that Jameis would leapfrog Jaxson Dart and start. And the reason why I'm confused by the people who think that, then why are you making Jaxson Dart the number 2? Like, you're inviting a controversy at that point. You're inviting drama that doesn't need to exist. Whereas if you wanted Jameis to be the first person, let's just back up for a second. Let's pretend week 1 didn't happen. We're in August. Everybody's healthy. We're putting together the roster for the year. We're sitting in a room. We're putting it together. Russ is going to be our starter, right? If you internally all decided that if something happened to Russ or Russ didn't play well and we were going to go to Jameis second, right? We had this in our mind. Why on earth would we put Jaxson Dart second on the depth chart? Why on earth would we invite the world to comment and question why we made the guy who is clearly our number 2 option in Jameis Winston, because we're putting him over Russ, as the number 3 quarterback? Whereas if you just put him number 2, Jaxson Dart being 3 would make total sense. You sign Russ, you sign Jameis. Jackson's the rookie. You want to take him slowly along. Jameis is the veteran who's been there before, so if Russ gets hurt, he's going to know how to operate the offense. So why would you do this?
They wouldn't. This comes back to a different line of thinking, and this is not about Russ. This is about Jaxson Dart only. Now, there is an element where if Russell Wilson was good enough, he might have been able to hold off Jaxson Dart longer. That part is, I believe, to be true. But this is not about Russ. This is not about Jameis. This is about when, not if, but when Daboll and company feel comfortable giving the reins to Jaxson Dart. And whenever that date is, it's going to happen. It's not going to go to, they're not going to, if they bench Russ, they're not benching Russ because, oh man, our playoff chances are on the line. We got to get Jameis in there. They're benching Russ because it's time for us to start the rookie.
And I think they would cut Russ and Jameis would be the backup to Dart.
I would have to, depending on the contract situation. I have to say, it might not even be beneficial to cut Russ. You know what I mean? Like, there's different things that they can do. Again, I don't know. You see what the injury guarantees and all the other funny stuff that goes along with why teams cut players like that to avoid injury guarantees kicking in. But he's on a 1-year deal, right?
So it's a 1-year deal. So there's not going to be a whole lot. So
I'm not really sure there's a purpose. And, maybe there's a trade market for him. I don't know. Not for much, but, quarterbacks get hurt. And
did you see how he played on Sunday?
I mean, teams trade for Sam Howell and Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett's a great point by you. Excellent point by you.
Joe Milton. All these guys got draft picks, and not like 7-for-6 swaps either. They got like legitimate picks for them. So
some young gun offensive coordinator is going to think, you know what?
I think it's an emergency. I think it's more of there's a market if somebody got hurt. I don't think there's a market today. Like if you shop them right this second, I don't think there's a market.
No, I think everybody hangs up the phone on you.
But if there's another contender that has an injury that needs someone to fill in, like
San Francisco,
you see what Philly's doing.
San Francisco, perhaps.
We'll talk about that in a second. But you see what Philly's doing, like with the Tank Bigsby deal, and I know they look at Tank as a kick returner, and I know Shipley's got the ribs. I believe it's a rib injury. However, what the Eagles have been doing all throughout this year, and they did in the preseason too, is they have a ton of picks, just in terms of quantity. They are ensuring that their backup situations at key positions are good enough just in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
They do not want their season derailed. And obviously, you're not going to, if Saquon gets hurt, it's a huge loss. Or if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, it's a huge loss. But they are putting themselves in position to acquire upgrades, and they've done it since August, to upgrade those backup positions just in case. So in that light of things, if there were to be a scenario where someone were to get hurt and maybe Russ could provide a couple weeks of insurance, the team would throw a 7th round pick at the Giants. in terms of San Francisco with the Brock Purdy stuff, again, you know this, Chris, because I've talked about this. I will go to my grave believing that Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft Mac Jones 3rd overall over Trey Lance and got bullied out of it by the internet. I will believe that the organization got bullied out of that decision. So I say that to say, I think Kyle Shanahan is perfectly fine starting Mac Jones for a couple games if Brock Purdy misses.
Then why did
it looks like he's going to miss this week, but he might maybe miss a second week as well.
Then why did they pay him? Then why did they pay him? If the head coach felt that strongly about it, then
I don't necessarily think that he thinks Mac Jones might be better now. I just think this might be his guy. I think he's fine with him being starting 1 or 2 games, particularly when it's compared to Russ.
Well, and their third stringer is Adrian Martinez, to tie this back to the Jets, former Jets practice squad member.
Great.
Adrian Martinez.
If they had to start Adrian Martinez, then yes, I would start Russ over Adrian Martinez, with all due respect to Mr.
I
Martinez.
will allow you to pick which baseball team we start with.
Let's do Yankees, because I think the Mets are a longer conversation, and we can kind of sign off after that. I just wanted to bring up the historic home run from Aaron Judge to pass Yogi Berra. He's now 5th all-time on the Yankees home run list, 359 home runs. He's going to pass Joe DiMaggio probably later this week. And then obviously he's got the big 3 in front of him of Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, and Babe Ruth. And, when you talk about the New York Yankees and you talk about records, there are a lot of team records that get set across sports. When you start talking about Yankees records and Yankees all-time leaderboards, it's really special because of just how long the franchise has been around, the names that have played for this franchise, and the sport-altering names that have played for this franchise. So with all due respect, I do think that cracking the Yankees' top 5 home run list is probably a little bit more exciting than, let's say, Pete Alonso cracking the Mets all-time home run list.
Wow. You're just going to go there. You're just
with
all
due respect.
All right. That's fine.
I'm not taking a shot.
That's fine.
I'm just saying.
Nope. I got my answer ready to go. Go ahead. Finish, buddy. I'm going to go all WFAN caller on your ass here in about 2 seconds. Go ahead. You went there.
One, I want to give the shout out, and 2, the next thought is where does he land? He's not going to catch Babe Ruth. I think that's pretty obvious. Babe Ruth is 659 with the New York Yankees. He's not going to get there. I do think he's 134, if I'm doing my quick math right, away from Lou Gehrig at 3rd. I do think he gets there if he remains even relatively healthy for the rest of his career, and which will eventually be DH only at some point. I think he's got a shot at Mickey Mantle at 536. But we obviously are watching a Hall of Famer. We are watching one of the greatest Yankees of all time. And we are also, I will end by saying this before you rip me apart. I am also very confident, as I have been for some time now, that he will be the last New York Yankee to ever wear the number 99. So now, Chris, I will turn it over to you to go WFAN on me.
I mean, just talk to me when you hit more than 205 in the postseason and only have a 318 on base percentage and you can't win the big one. Derek Jeter won a bunch of world championships.
The Mets fan is going to lecture me on not winning the big one, huh?
Just saying.
The Mets fan.
We talk about how great this moment is for Aaron Judge. I didn't see a marquee postseason home run like Pete Alonso did in Milwaukee last year.
Cool. How far did Mets go last year? I don't seem to remember you in the World Series last year.
It's correct. Didn't get there. Listen, you started this.
They pissed down their leg against somebody else. They didn't piss down their leg against the Mets.
You started this. But Aaron Judge dropped that pop fly in the 5th inning that absolutely derailed the entire season. So I don't want to hear about how all-time great Aaron Judge is until he does something in the postseason. Don't want to hear it.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
No, Aaron Judge is great.
I know. It is. But look here, and we'll get into this as we get closer to October.
I had to go all Joe B on you there real quick.
No. It's fair. And we need to have the conversation closer to October because there is an element, and I do believe this, and I believe this wholeheartedly. And I believe this is the part that doesn't get missed, but I think it's overlooked in the Derek Jeter discourse that's around the world now in award of analysts and all this other stuff. And just looking at his raw regular season numbers. Playing in postseason success matters. And postseason success as the face of the New York Yankees absolutely matters. And Aaron Judge has put together a Hall of Fame resume. He has had one of the best careers of any baseball player of all time and any Yankee of all time. But there is a blemish. There is a demerit. There is a black mark. And that mark is his postseason play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that Derek Jeter always excelled at and what made his legend grow. It is what haunted, up until 2009, Alex Rodriguez in his time with the Yankees, was his lack of postseason success. And by the way, when he broke that lack of success, what happened? Yankees won the World Series.
Yeah.
So Judge does have a lot to prove in that aspect of it. And we will talk about that in October because it does matter. And it is a fair criticism. And I'm sorry, when you are this good of a player, you get to be criticized for the minutia. And that's a pretty big thing. It's not your postseason success with the freaking Mariners or the Twins. Your postseason success with the Yankees. And it does define your legacy. And even if he continues to hit whatever 210 it is in the postseason for the rest of his career, he will walk into the Hall of Fame.
205.
But there will be a fair person that says, yeah, but. And he himself has to break that. He's going to the Hall of Fame no matter what. He's going to get his number retired no matter what. But if he wants to avoid the yeah, but, he's got to perform. So we'll talk about that more in October when it's a little bit more relevant. But I do agree with you there. But it's still, from a purely regular season accomplishment, it's pretty ridiculous. Like, that list hasn't changed in how many years?
Well, allow me to just...
Decades and decades and decades.
I just want to clear up that what I was doing was mostly a bit. I mean, his postseason resume deserves to be criticized, but you also have to realize that the Yankees, while he has been a member of the organization, have been in the positions in the postseason largely because of Aaron Judge putting the team and the offense completely on his back. And so those two tracks can run simultaneously to one another. And so that's why you celebrate moments like this, because he is going to go down as one of the all-time greats, or at least he is going to be in the conversation of Yankee all-time greats. And then when you're having that debate...
He might end up being the greatest right-handed hitter of all time.
Right.
Like, he is not there yet. I'm not crowning him that yet. But he has a chance to be the greatest right-handed hitter of all time.
Right. And then this is where the other track moves over and enters the conversation, because this is always going to be the thing that stops that sentence from being true. And so he has to have his and all he needs is one. Legitimately. If he has one
good run and the Yankees win a World Series, at some point in the rest of his career,
it'll erase
everything else.
Yes.
It will.
It unlocks everything else, and it allows him to
for A-Rod.
Right.
I know A-Rod's legacy is a little bit more complicated because he played Seattle, he played in Texas, he has the steroids. Like, there's a little bit more complication versus a guy that was drafted in the first round by the team, came out to the minor league system, and has played only with the one team. But A-Rod was looked at way differently by Yankees fans after 2009. Way differently. And they didn't want to like A-Rod. They do want to like Aaron Judge.
Yeah, no, they desperately want to make him the all-time great. They want him to be the best hitter in the history of the organization and one of those guys that gets that seat at the table. But it just, I think before this, his postseason runs certainly hurt him. The play in the fifth inning of the game against the Dodgers, it just sticks out like a sore thumb now, and he has to override that. He has to override that moment.
Because it's also, Chris, before we get to the last topic, there's a difference between struggling in a series or two series. When you struggle in 3 series, in a long, prolonged run, and when you get as much attention as the Yankees did, like the Astros ate their lunch for a number of years, and everyone kind of went, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But when you went on the run that you went on, and also see your teammate go on the run he went on, and Giancarlo Stanton's run in that postseason, and you watch them bat sometimes back-to-back, you kind of seen the difference. And again, he's got time to change the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he can. But quite frankly, we'll talk about this at another show at some point, he might have to for the Yankees to have any shot to win a playoff series, more or less get back to the World Series. We'll see.
And when you have that viral moment the way that he did in that game, it just sticks with you more. Like, it sticks on the resume longer when you have the viral moment that just people can replay over and over and over again in their head. Well, the Yankees will be in the postseason. I'm not sure the Mets will be joining them. I'm not.
I think you're overreacting,
so sure.
Chris. This feels like an overreaction. Chris.
Okay,
but
all right.
Look, you look bad. Look, you look bad.
You go first. Tell me why I'm overreacting.
Why I think you're overreacting is because it's September 10th, and I do think I know they've lost 4 in a row, and it looks bad right now. but I don't think they're a worse constructed team than the Reds. I don't think they're a worse constructed team than the Giants. I don't think they're a worse constructed team than the Diamondbacks or the Cardinals. I know the starting pitching is concerning right now, especially for not the young guns.
That's nice. That's a nice way to describe it.
I don't think they're going to do anything when they get there. But I also can't see them playing this poor. Here's where it comes down to. I think they're a better baseball team than the teams that are behind them. And we are going to start running out of games here soon. So
that's my worry. That's one of my big fears, is that we're running out of games.
You're not running out of games chasing. You're running out of games with a 2-game lead on the wild card.
All right, a pop quiz for you.
Oh boy.
Since June 13th.
Oh God.
5 teams with the worst record in baseball.
Rockies.
Rockies number 1, 27-50, a winning percentage of .351.
That's pretty bad. Twins.
Number 2, 28-49, .364. You're 2 for 2 right now. You're going in order.
Pirates.
Pirates not in the top 5.
Fuck. You have to bleep that out.
I'm just going to I'll just slap the E tag on it.
Ravens. Jesus Christmas, Ravens. What were they even trying to say? Oh, athletics. I don't even know why I said there's not, I wasn't talking about Baltimore. I wasn't even looking at Baltimore yet. I was literally looking at the athletics, which is Vegas.
So you said Ravens. So in my head, I'm like, oh, he wants the Orioles because Baltimore, right? We were talking football. That makes sense.
I was going to get to Baltimore, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you right now. I'm not going to save myself. I was going to go with A's next, then Baltimore.
Might be the greatest 90 seconds in the history of the program.
Yeah, I'm going to own that because I was going Baltimore, but not there.
So let me just, not Baltimore and not Vegas. Neither of the two.
All right, so what am I up to now? I've lost the plot. So the Rockies, the White Sox.
No, you didn't guess the White Sox. Would you like to submit the White Sox?
Yes, I'd like to submit the White Sox.
Okay,
yes.
They're number 5, 32-44, .421 winning percentage. You're missing 3 and 4.
And I assume, I assume since we're doing this exercise where I just embarrass myself,
yes,
that the Mets will be one of those teams.
They are number 4, 31-45, a .408 winning percentage since June 13th.
It's ungood.
So you tell me that they're not as bad as the rest of these other teams. In fact, since June 13th, they have been. They've been one of the worst teams in baseball.
I mean, I guess they have been. I just don't think they are. And I don't mean I don't think they are retrospectively. I just think their roster is better than these. But I get your point why you're concerned. I'm not saying you shouldn't be concerned. A 2-game lead with what is this here? 145?
16 games to go.
So, yeah.
16 games to go?
17
games?
17, I think.
17 games to go.
17 games to go. I mean, that's not, it can be done. I mean, that's not crazy. I just still think they're going to get, and you know what's so funny is that you look back on everything that happened to start the year and obviously the offseason the Mets had, and Juan Soto's been damn good.
Oh, he's been excellent.
And I'm surprised they're struggling to hang on to the wild card spot with him being as good as he's been.
I'm not, because because it's just really simple, Jamie. They don't have any starting pitching. Sean Manaea gave you 5 innings last night. Great. He gave up 4 runs. They were down 4-0 before they could even blink.
I'm old enough to remember when you messaged me in April about the Mets pitching lab.
I mean,
I remember that.
Sproat, McClain, and Tong are great.
Yeah, but what they do with all the guys that have been in the league before?
Manaea hasn't been good. Senga's down in Syracuse.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can continue to start Clay Holmes, even though I'm going to have to watch him this evening while you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, I remember all the Mets fans talking, to Yankees fans about how just amazing, how big of a bag fumble that the Yankees had by letting Holmes go.
All right, hold on a second, because Holmes is a weird case of Holmes is good still, but he just can't go deep into games. So you might as well just make him a reliever. You might as well.
Cool. So the thing the Yankees did with him made him a reliever.
Okay. Easy. He's thrown more innings than he's ever thrown in the history of his career. He's hitting a wall. There's a difference between making him a reliever and the wall that he's hitting.
I just know that the April takes on the Mets.
Well, he was very good. He was very good for the first month of the year. I mean, he was excellent. He was excellent to start the year. But they don't have any starting pitching. Their bullpen's a nightmare outside of Edwin Diaz. Just an absolute nightmare fuel. And since they scored 22 runs in the first 2 games against Detroit, we're back. Have you watched the show The Good Place?
I have not.
Kristen Bell is in it.
No. I mean, I know what it is. I have not watched it. You don't have to.
So you're familiar with the concept
explain.
of the good place and the bad place?
Yes.
The Mets offense is back in the bad place. Like they in the bad place that they were in post All-Star break through the trade deadline into the start of August. That's where the offense is back to being. And so it just that Francisco Alvarez at bat 2 nights ago to end the 1-0 game. Was it the 1-0 game? Yes, it was the 1-0 game. Was one of the worst at bats I think I've ever seen a player take. 3 swings at 3 pitches that weren't even close. They were in the left-handed batter's box. Weren't even close. Swung at all 3. Like they just seem lost again. Now, very quickly, can they turn it on and go back to being the great offense that they were for August and all the way up until the start of this series over the weekend and this series against Philly? Yeah, sure. But I think to your larger point, do I think they can make the playoffs? They still have an 87% chance, although only having a 2.5 game lead isn't great. But the Giants get the Dodgers next, so it does feel like...
Who knows with them either? Like, I mean, obviously they're going to make the playoffs, but like... The team getting the Dodgers doesn't necessarily scare me right now.
But you get...
But yes, but understood.
They get Texas. The Mets get Texas, San Diego, Washington, Chicago, Miami. Like, that's not a cakewalk.
No.
And, I mean, what do we think they need to get to? 85 wins? 86 wins?
Let me take a look at the handy-dandy standings. Let me eyeball this with the very scientific eyeballing of this. I think, so yes, they have 17 games left. So I think if they get to... I think you got to do 10-7.
So you got to get to 86 wins.
Yeah.
I don't think this team can play 10-7 baseball over that schedule. I think the door is wide open, legitimately. Because
which team scares you the most?
The Giants do. Do you see where the Giants are playing? Drew Gilbert's going to come back and haunt the New York Mets for trading him for Tyler Rogers. That team has all Mets on it. Wilmer Flores, Dom Smith, Drew Gilbert's doing stuff. I mean, they just Mets everywhere.
Maybe Buster Posey's a secret Mets fan? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I just think that the Mets player development may be better than we've given it credit for the last couple of years.
Yeah, you should keep some of them.
I just don't know if I see 10 wins. Miami in general.
Yeah, Miami messes with you guys so much.
And it's in Miami just is a recipe for a house of horrors. Just a recipe.
Yeah.
Washington has never been...
Well, I will provide you at least a bit of good news that the Giants are down 5-0 as we're recording this. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That's a piece. I mean, it's just to provide you with a little bit of... I just looked at the score, and they are down 5-0 to the Diamondbacks right now. So
you're just playing... And yes, you're doing this all year long, but right now it just feels like you're playing a math game. And it just feels like every day that you just win is just another day that you can get closer to not having to wait until that Miami series to clinch up a spot, right? Like just take that out of play.
It does feel like it's coming down to the wire, though.
And I just don't want to play that game because then you run into this. Then you run into the challenge of you got to set a playoff rotation, and good luck with that.
That's a classic. Let's worry about it when we worry about it.
Of course,
I don't want to make that answer right now.
Yeah,
for a number of reasons.
Just get in first. But yeah, you have the Giants 2 back as we record this. The Reds 3 back as we record this. I mean, you got 2 teams within striking distance. And the Reds took 4 out of 6 from the Mets this year. So they have the tiebreaker. So you have to be a game clear of that team. It just, again, they have an 87% chance. I think math-wise, there's a path. I'm skeptical with the way that they're currently playing. And by the way, they've got 2 more games against Philly as we're recording the show, which could be 2 more losses.
They got to do better than what they did on Tuesday for sure. Like that was who they have Ranger Suarez going up against tonight.
Well, I believe Monday wasn't much better, but yes,
it wasn't. But yesterday was abysmal.
Yeah, it's been bad for a while now, or at least a small little while now. That is going to do it for us here on the NY Sports Index. We are back. Do we have a model bet for Thursday?
1, no, and 2, we don't do the final word no more.
You said before we'll talk about the Mets and then we'll wrap. Did you have a final word?
You know what?
Prepared?
I did say that, but I did say that. But I also assumed that we were always still going to end with a final say. We do not have but I'll say this: we do not have a model bet for this week. I ran the numbers; none of them are great. It's just not a great matchup. I do like Josh Jacobs though. If you're going to have to bet on something for
slow
Josh
start
Jacobs
for the model,
yards.
By the way, slow start for the model.
4-4, yeah, not great.
It's just slow.
Not thrilled about that.
No, it's just slow.
Thrilled, but it could be worse. But not thrilled about it. We did have a couple injuries that impacted that toward the end. But
the model's not stagnant. There were adjustments made throughout the course of the year.
That is true.
So I just look up at the end of the year and see where we're at.
brief final word here, and that is just because I came across a stat that just had me, my gasp were flabbered. Warren Sharp, shout out to Sharp Football on
very
Twitter.
good.
Percentage
Very good
of
follow.
running back runs that gained 0 yards in week 1. So this is the percentage of running back runs that gained 0 yards in week 1. Most of the teams that you were on here were between 10 and 32%. There were 4 teams that were outliers. Positive outliers, Kansas City and Washington. Negative outliers, Las Vegas and the Giants. The Giants led the league in the percentage of running back runs that gained 0 yards in this game. 47% of running back runs gained no yards in week 1. Can't happen. Can't happen. Abysmal. So that running game needs to get going a little bit. The combination of Scatterboo and Tracy. Hopefully they will have a better. You've been able to run. I know they got Kenny Clark now, and we can all make our Micah Parsons trade jokes aside. But you can run on the Dallas Cowboys, and I would need to see. That's why. If you ask me what I want to see this week, a little preview of what we'll talk about on Friday's show. I need to see more out of this run game, and that stat just sent me somewhere. Of just like you can't. That's ridiculous. You can't. That is about as ineffective as you could possibly be. And it's not like they ran the ball 3 times either. You know what I mean?
No,
they tried to run, and it did not go very well at all.
And it sets up your passing game for failure, and it's not like you want to be dropping back and throwing the ball as much as that stat would indicate you would need to overcome it, right? Like, it just feels like if that's the way we're going to run the football, we need to throw the ball a lot, and that's not the way this offense, at least with Russ under center. Maybe with Dart it's different, but with Russ under center, I don't think that's the way they want to conduct things.
Yeah, right, so they had 15 running back runs in that game, and the running backs with their 15 runs gained a combined 30 yards.
Not good. Not good. We are back on Friday to preview week 2. The Jets will take on the Bills. The Cowboys will take on the Giants. We will have probably model bets either on Friday's show or over the weekend. You'll see those out on social media. We'll talk about where the baseball teams stand. Am I still in Panic City for the Mets? Or have things turned a corner? All of that on the latest edition of the NY Sports Index coming to you in the Friday feed. In the meantime, please rate, review, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. You want to watch the show, the NY Sports Index YouTube channel, or you can check us out on the Spotify app. The video is available there as well. We're back on Friday to get you ready for the week 2 of football action. We'll talk to you then.